Alright, I'd like to talk a little bit about the place value system. Over here we have a place value chart that goes from millions all the way down to thousands. So I want you to look at this, and let's start off in the thousands. And notice we have a fraction here, and we might also want to think about what the decimal looks like for thousands. And what our place value system does is a 10-based system. And as you see, it's going to go up by times 10. It's really easy to see when you get to your ones. 1 times 10 is 10. Times 10 is 100. Times 10 is 1,000. Times 10 is 10,000. Times 10 is 100,000. And times 10 is a million. And then, of course, that goes infinitely. And it goes infinitely this other way, too. As we get smaller, we divide by 10s. So as we get smaller, we divide by 10, and you can see 1,000 divided by 10 would be 100. 100 divided by 10 would be 10. 10 divided by 10 is 1. And then 1 divided by 10 is 1/10. 1/10 divided by 10 would be 100th. And 100th divided by 10 is 1,000. So we can use this idea of place value to help us in our math. So when we see something, let's just start off if I told you the number 4,382 and 600s. Okay, it's a very simple number to read when you know your place values, and we can just put it in here: 4,000s, 300s, 8 10s, 2 1s, 82. Decimal, we just say point, or better yet, we say and. 0 10s and 600s. So we would read this 4,382 and, well, there's no hundreds, but there's no tens, but there's 600s. So and 600s. So that's how we read the number. We use place value to do that. But we could also use this for operations. So, and as we move along into 5th grade math, it's going to become much more useful for your operations, such as a simple one like, well, we're used to 8 times 10, and maybe we've memorized that as 80. Maybe we've learned a trick. Oh, it has a 0 on the 10, so we're just going to add a 0 to the 8. And that is correct. That is a wonderful trick, but it is a trick. And tricks are great if you understand why those tricks work. Well, it's quite simple. If we have 8 ones, and it says times 10, well, our place values go by times 10, so we're just increasing it one place value. We're just simply moving this over one place value into the 10s and 0 1s, and that's how we get our 80. And that's the trick about adding on a 0. Because that trick doesn't work so well if I tell you, well, what about 8 and 7/10 times 10? Can I just add on a 0 and say, oh, it's 8.70 or 8 and 70/100ths? No, because 8 and 70/100ths equals 8.7 equals 8.70. There's 0 there. Look at this. So you say 8 and 7/10 or 8 and 7/100ths. Remember, all the things that are not filled in are zeros. Look at 6 there. I don't know what that is now. But you can see it's all zeros. It's still just 8.7 or 8 and 7/10. So don't rely on the trick. Understand why it works. Again, if I put in 8.7 and I'm going to do it times 10, I'm going to increase the 8 one place value to 8 10s, and I'm going to increase the tenths one place value to 7 1s, and that leaves me with 0 in the decimals, and the answer is 87. Okay, you could think about and connect the idea of decimals and money. 8.7 does equal 8.70, like I put right here. Well, that's $8.70, right? So if you had $8.70 10 times, well, you'd have $87, right? You'd have $87. Just like it looks up here. In money, we require it to go to hundreds. That's the only difference. Okay, so once again, our place value system is by the powers of 10. It moves by 10 fingers. That's obviously why. It's a 10-based system. And it's very important to know that we can multiply. And this, if we multiply by 10, you just move one place value to the left, which increases. And if you're dividing, you move a place value to the right. So obviously this will work for all powers of 10, which include 100, 1000, and so on. So let me just real quick show, some of these circles that don't go away, but they're zeros, so maybe they won't matter. So let me just real quick do one more here, and we could have something like, let's do a division one. Let's do 3.7 divided by 10. Okay, very simple. When you look at this as a fifth grader, it's like, wait a minute, I can't divide 3 by 10. But we're not going to worry about that. We're going to concentrate on our place value. So let me put it in here where I have somewhere clean here. This is okay right here. 3 ones, 7 tenths. So again, now I'm going to decrease. So I'm going to go to the right now. My numbers are going to go to the right. They're going to go this way. They're going to decrease to these smaller ones. Okay, so we're going to take 7 tenths and we're going to move it over to 700ths, and we're going to take 3 ones and move it over to 3 tenths. And our decimals there, and we like to have a 0 there. And we could put a 0 there, although very unnecessary to put them at the end. But our answer there is 0.37, which is not the way we like to say it. We want to call it what it is. It's 37. Everyone should see the number 37 if we forget about that 0 for right now. 37, and the last place value is the hundredths, and that's how we name it. 37 hundredths. 0.37, fine. And if there was a reason, like in baseball, they want all decimals in hundreds. So we could say the baseball player batted 370. It's the same as 0.37, but if you said the guy batted 37 in baseball, they would think he's the worst hitter of all time because they're thinking it's 37 out of 1,000 when you meant to say 370. Alright, so anyway, this is the basics of our place value system and how it's a times 10 and divided by 10 place value system. Very powerful knowledge in this. We will practice this very often, so this is not something just to skip by. Thank you very much, and we'll see you later.